Golf Cars, located in Oxford, where they have a large selection of trailers, golf cars, and if you are in the market for a new golf car or a pre-owned model, go see them at Sandling Golf Cars. We're also brought to you today by T.G. Brooks Company, in business since 1936. They're located downtown Timberlake, 411 Helena Mariah Road. Whether it's the weekend and you want to grill up some hand cut ribeyes or maybe make a freezer of homemade ice cream, TG Brooks Company can accommodate both. They have those hand cut ribeyes, and they also have the White Mountain ice cream freezers, and that's just a drop in the bucket, so to speak, of all the things available from TG Brooks Company. Whether you are a gardener, a contractor, a plumber, an electrician, guaranteed you'll find something that you could use at TG Brooks Company. And also, after you've worked out in the garden or the lawn and you're a little bit hungry for a little snack, always make sure you've got some Our Pride Foods premium pimento cheese spread and dip on hand. Whether you're having it as a snack or a meal, maybe you're adding it into a recipe, you can't go wrong with Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip. The Gardener's Corner program available on YouTube to watch past editions of the show. Also, if you are on Spectrum, we're available on channel 191, also on WKRX 96.7 FM and WRXO 1430 AM. We would like to make welcome to the program today. He is the horticultural agent for Person and Granville counties. If you would please make welcome Mr. Johnny Coley.
Mister, wow, that's thank you.
It just gets better with time.
You always make me hungry, Rob, when you do those announcements from T.G. Brooks and Our Pride Pimento Cheese. Goodness gracious, right here at lunchtime, and you start making all those food announcements of what T.G. Brooks, the ice cream and the steaks and the pimento cheese. Goodness gracious, that's it's always a tempting thing. I should bring my lunch in here or either eat before I come in on these 11 o'clock shows. But it is good to be here today. I appreciate you having us here, and got a lot of good news to put out there, a lot of good reports. I feel like we always talk about soil testing and soil reports, but that's a good thing to look into doing pretty soon, especially with your lawn care chores coming up. August is always a good time to start thinking about lawn care. You don't do a lot other than cutting your lawn in August. If you have fescue, and if you have a Bermuda yard or a warm season yard, you could still fertilize. Actually, still do an application of fertilizer in August, but because it's still actively growing. Fescue is pretty much dormant now, so you don't want to fertilize it and try to push it this time of year too much. So, but get your soil test in. Go ahead and get those soil tests. Come by and get your boxes from the extension office, either here in Person County or in Granville County, and get those sent in. Right now, it's a free charge. Tells you, a lot of good information about your yard, whether you need to fertilize it, whether you don't need to fertilize it. And the pH as far as liming goes, it's always good to find out, and doing it early and being able to prepare, because coming in September, that's when you are going to want to fertilize your yard. If you have a fescue yard, you can do some fertilizing, and from mid September, mid October, you can do your fertilizing. Lime you can actually do anytime, so you can add lime to your yard any time of the year, any month of the year you can do your liming. So go ahead and get those soil tests in and beat the crowd from getting them in. It's probably about a 1 to 2 week turnaround right now. So.
Well, Johnny, not only can you do soil samples on your lawn, if you have, trees in your landscape, ornamental plants, you should do, a soil sample for those as well. And maybe you're thinking about planting a late garden of cool season vegetables, you still got time to go ahead and get soil samples.
See what the nutrients were used from your summer vegetables, because it's getting time to start really planting your fall vegetable garden. I mean, it's going to be collard and turnip green time, and even carrots. Some people plant carrots in the fall, and most of the time they make it through the winter. We did actually did a little test plot last year. Planted some carrots in the fall. We got them in a little bit late. The research was done over at Oxford, and we got them in a little bit late. And after we got them in, it was probably October, end of September, 1st of October, before we actually planted the seeds. And I don't think it rained for like 6 weeks after we planted those seeds, so it took a while for them to come up. But they made it through the winter. With the cold winter that we had, we had several varieties make it through. So carrots are something you can plant in the fall and then harvest them in the spring because they're a little winter for you. But yeah, broccoli, cauliflower, all your fall crops, it's time to start thinking about them. And you want to make sure your soil's right, because you've used some nutrients from your summer. Your summer crops have used some of the nutrients, and pH probably hasn't changed a lot from spring, but it's always good to get that measurement and see where you're heading with that.
Well, Johnny, the year kind of started off wet, and then it went back to dry, and then kind of having some wet weather recently, and you never know what may be depleted out of your soils. And as you've said many times, when you do your soil samples, you know what you need, and if you just take a shot in the dark, you may be wasting time and money.
Exactly.
Hey, with that being said, let's get a word on for Owl Pride Foods, makers of Owl Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip. I know you said talking about the food kind of made you hungry, so we're kind of in our minds while this commercial is playing. We'll have some of that pimento cheese on a cracker, or maybe fix us a grilled pimento cheese sandwich. Maybe take some jalapeno peppers and stuff them with pimento cheese and grill them on the grill. Maybe fry up some eggs and put the pimento cheese in that. Maybe have a hamburger with a dollop of pimento cheese. So we'll be back after this message.
A virtual lunch.
Owl Pride Foods, makers of Owl Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip, is made in Roxborough. Pick up some the next time you're shopping at Hurdle Mills Market and Butcher Shop, North Main IGA, Supply Line Discounts in South Boston, Virginia, Food Lion, or Kenyon's Meat Market in Mebane. You can enjoy Owl Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip at Rock City Grill, Cole's Pharmacy, Triss's Espresso, and Clarksville Station. Owl Pride Foods, makers of Owl Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip, remind you that goodness grows in North Carolina. Try the jalapeno added for extra flavor. That's Owl Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip.
All righty, here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program. I want to say a special thanks. We've had several listeners to text us, and we've had several phone calls about a little squeal or something in our sound, but our chief engineer, Conrad Kimbrough, jumped on it, and he's got it taken care of. And, here we are at the radio station, and lots of times we may not be aware of how it sounds over the air, so we're glad to have our listeners, call in and let us know what's going on. So thank you to those folks.
Quality control department.
That's right. That's right. Johnny, before we kind of move on to the next topic at hand, got some events taking place latter part of the month and on into September. So if you would you mind maybe iterating and giving us some information about some of those different events at this time?
Well, some information from the desk of Mrs. Jennifer Grable. Easy for me to say. but the family and consumer science agent over at Person in Granville County, and we've got some programs coming up. One called Aging with Gusto. This is an all-day workshop. I say all day. It starts at 8:30, goes to 2 o'clock. That will be serving lunch at this workshop, and this event will help you be the best you can be. You will learn about health trends that can help you live your life to the fullest, financial information that will enable you to make educated choices, and other topics that will keep you up to date on what is happening in the world around you. So this is a good workshop that Jennifer's put together. So it is a $12 registration fee for this, but you do get lunch with that. So please call Jennifer if you have any more if you need any more information about this workshop. And looks like they need registration by August 17th. So anyway, just August 28th is the time for this. So please keep that in mind, and give Jennifer a call for more information. That number is 336-599-1195. Also, Jennifer's going to have a lunch and learn on September 5th. September 5th from 12 to 1. It is a lunch and learn, so it is from 12 to 1. This is cooking for 1 or 2 is what the subject is going to be. And I was talking to Jennifer about this, and she said it's designed for families that have children, have had children in the household, and now they've maybe moved out or are not there as much, and it's just maybe 1 or 2 parents there, and how do you cook for just 1 or 2? A lot of times we eat out if it's just for 1 or 2, and Jennifer's gonna talk about how you can actually cook for 1 or 2 people. When you do that, sometimes you have to eat some leftovers, but that's a good thing too. So you don't have to cook the next day. But anyway, that's going to be on September 5th, Wednesday, September 5th, from 12 to 1. It is a $5 charge for that also. So keep those dates in mind when you're thinking about food. We talked about food, and this is a good way to eat healthy food.
It sure is. And
the ice cream and the steaks, they can be healthy. Pimento cheese is healthy. I mean, that's a dairy product.
That's right. Absolutely. Yes. And Johnny, Jennifer has a book full of healthy recipes. And, one thing that Jennifer tries to encourage people to do is make substitutions of more healthy ingredients. And one that she has talked about, with us, if you maybe have a recipe that calls, say, for 2 cups of mayonnaise, maybe put like 1.5 cups of mayonnaise in it, and then maybe 1/2 cup of yogurt, and you make the change at a slow, gradual stage, so it won't be a real big shock to your taste buds.
Yeah.
But if you can make little small changes over time, you typically don't know the difference in the end.
Yeah.
But other than being more healthy.
Yeah.
So
I've had several people tell me they cut salt out, and you do it gradually. You don't cut it all out at one time. You just sort of cut back, and all of a sudden you're not eating any. And then you eat something that is salty, you don't even like it. It covers the flavor up too much. So I'm not one of those people, I'll be honest with you. But I've heard people say that once you cut salt out, that you don't really miss it.
Yeah.
But you do it on a gradual basis. I mean, most things are over salted. So.
And something else that Jennifer has taught me, and I was not aware of it, but typically only 7% of salt is added at the table. Now, I'm not one that typically adds salt. Sometimes if I eat an apple or watermelon or French fries, I may dash a little bit of salt on them, but typically I don't pick up the salt shaker. But Jennifer says that in a lot of processed foods, it's a high content of sodium. And so I kind of, like to feel like I'm not really a salt eater, but you're consuming a lot of sodium, and you may never pick up the salt shaker.
Yeah. You almost need to look at those labels when you're shopping and see what those sodium rates are, because that you're right. I know my mother-in-law, she was she lived to be 97, but she has passed away now. But I remember my wife and her, she was on a low sodium diet, and they were in the grocery store, and it's amazing the things that do have high sodium. You have to be very, very careful.
Johnny, you had made mention about a class and course that's going to be taking place at PCC that I think that it's going to spark a lot of interest, and whether you're interested in it in the agricultural industry or maybe taking photographs and things like this, I think it's something that a lot of people will really enjoy wanting to get more information. So if you would tell us about this course at PCC.
PCC in collaboration with Cross Flight Sky Solutions is offering a drone pilot class. It's going to teach you how to fly a drone, and may not be quite teaching you from ground one. I think this is, if you probably going to need to have a little bit of experience with the drone when you take this class, but it is an FAA FAR 107 drone pilot training and certification course. So it is gonna, at the end of this course, you will be able to take a test and be certified and have your FFA certification to be able to fly drones. Gracious, I can't talk today. But you fly the drones around, and a lot of people don't realize that when you get a drone and you start flying it, you have to have a license, an FFA, FAA, not FFA. We're going to get confused with Future Farmers of America. It's the FFA license. So you do have to have take a test and be certified. And this class will be held September 17th through September 21st. It's Monday through Friday from 5:30 to 9:30. So that's a 4-hour class Monday through Friday. And then on September 22nd from 9 till 12. So it's a pretty intense class. It's like, 20 hours, 23 hours worth of classroom time there. And you'll have some hands-on flying instruction from the people that are doing this course. So it will be a good course that's offered from Piedmont Community College. The college is on 1715 College Drive in Roxboro. Phone number is 336-599-1181 for more information on this course. But drones have a lot of good applications. As you mentioned, taking pictures with them. I've actually I've thought of an application that I know nothing about drones. I'll be up front, so I don't know how easily this would be. But it's trees that are too big. If we could get some kind of spray application to fly over those trees that you could spray for insects and diseases for, that would be a great way to great use of the drone. So, and there are lots of farmers that use drones. I don't know about in this area, but in especially out in the western part of the state, the Midwest, they part of the country rather, not state, but the Midwest part of the country, where they have just huge acreage of corn or wheat or something. They can fly these drones over the area and see spots that may not be getting the nutrients or may not be getting proper treatments, maybe some disease out there, and they can fly these drones over and take a look at them, where in the past they couldn't do that without driving the tractor through there and messing up some of the crops. So now they can do that. So drones are, they have their applications, definitely. So just, something to be aware of. Again, it's September 17th through the 22nd is actually the course. But give Piedmont Community College a call for more information about this.
And Johnny, if you did have that certification and you had your own drone, you could maybe, the sky's the limit, so to speak, of maybe what you could, use the drone for. And of course, now, I'm going to just say this, it probably would never happen, but here at the station with the radio tower, it may be sometimes that some inspection would need to be done on the radio tower
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a drone would be perfect, you know,
Yeah.
to fly up close to it and have a video and take pictures.
Yeah. And you'd want somebody that knew what they were doing
Yeah,
to do that, for
absolutely, you
sure.
sure
So
would.
that's,
So, something else we'll make mention of, and although some of these events are pretty far out, we feel like we need to make mention of them, and you can go ahead and make it your plans to attend, because a lot of these gatherings are extremely packed full of information. And this is one coming up on Thursday, September 27th, and not quite 2 months away. But it's going to be the 2018 Tri-County Livestock and Pasture Management Field Day. And it's going to be here in Roxborough at Rogers Cattle Company, located 945 Woodsdale Road. This will be a free event, a free field day, and they are actually going to be having a drone demonstration late that afternoon.
Okay, well, there you
And
go.
now they do ask that you RSVP by September the 13th. And the reason that they ask that you pre-register is a meal will be served, and they need to know how many people to prepare for. And the number to call, 919-560-0558. That's 919-560-0558. And they ask that you bring your own lawn chair, and participants should expect moderate walking. So again, go ahead and get signed up for that. And you know, Johnny, we've talked about it. You are a cattle owner, and we've talked about it on the program with Paul Westfall and Kim Woods about how important pasture management is, whether you have, you know, cows, horses, goats, or sheep, llamas, whatever it may be. Weed control is something that is very important. But of all of those animals mentioned, horses are a lot harder on pasture than any other, you know, grazing animal. It is. And the biggest reason, a horse has teeth in both the top and bottom, and they can eat grass all the way down to the root.
Yeah.
And they can pretty much pull grass up by the root. And so that is why you need to have more grazing acres per head of horses versus cows. But there again, and then I guess they call it forced grazing. If you have, say, 100-acre pasture, and your cows have just free roaming of that pasture, believe it or not, they're only utilizing about 50% of the forage. And if you get into the forced grazing techniques, you can up that percent to about 80%, and so meaning you can get more use out of your pasture. And Johnny, we feed our horses hay year round. We have more horses than we do pasture. But you know, the nice thing about it, when you have plenty of grazing, it's really good to not be able to have to provide as much hay for your livestock. When you've got grazing, it's less trouble, and it's, in a sense, less money out of your pocket as well.
It is. I've often said, you know, cattle, we do have a few cows, and, you know, cattle management is not that difficult. It's the pasture management that is,
Right.
is really more difficult, and it can save you money. The longer you can have your cows or any livestock graze into the fall, and the earlier you can start in the spring, you cut your time of actually putting out hay quite a bit. So, you know, pasture management is a very crucial thing to think about. So it is a very good program, and you mentioned the forced grazing that you can do, because a lot of times, cows will eat the same area. They'll eat the same, or any livestock, I say cows because that's what I have, but now, any livestock will eat the same area. As soon as it comes back up, they're back on that same grass. But if you put them in an area that they have to eat something that's fine for them to eat, but they may not like it, it's spinach rather than ice cream.
That's right. Yes.
So they'd rather have that ice cream than eat their spinach. So that's sort of the theory behind forced
Right.
foraging or forced grazing. You make them eat something that that they can eat, they don't want to eat, and it utilizes more of your pasture.
We have made mention of a few more events, but we're going to get a word on for T.G. Brooks Company, in business since 1936. Johnny, I had someone to pose a question to me, and I told them that I would pass it along to you. And the question was that they have some winter squash planted, and they say that it is some really beautiful squash, but they really don't know how to prepare it. But you was telling me that with winter squash, that typically, where with summer squash, you eat the rind, seeds, and everything, where with the winter squash, the rind is hard, and you don't eat that, and you don't eat the seed. So
Inside. And I'm gonna refer to Jennifer on
as far as to how to prepare
how to
it.
prepare.
So,
Me and Jennifer have an agreement that I won't try to cook anything, and she won't try to grow anything.
yeah.
So,
And I would think that you could maybe take some of the winter squash and cut it open and get the seeds out, and maybe you could bake it in the oven with maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know, some olive oil or whatever.
Pumpkins would
Yes.
fall into that, into that category, and people do eat the pumpkin. Of course, the inside, you don't eat the rind part. You eat the seed. People like to bake the seed.
And while we're on that, subject, pumpkins will be harvested coming up within a couple of months. And, when you eat pumpkin pie, that is not really pumpkin you are eating. It is actually squash. So it's a type of squash, and it's the Hubert squash that is used to make
HUBBA.
something. I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but it's a variety of squash that is used to make, the pumpkin.
Pumpkin pie. Yeah.
Pumpkin pie. So, all right, here's a word from T.G. Brooks Company. Go see them for those hand-cut ribeyes, plumbing supplies, seed, fertilizer. One-stop shopping ahead at T.G. Brooks Company.
August, we start heading toward the fall season, and we can already be thinking about those cooler days of fall that'll be here before you know it. That's when we really enjoy getting outdoors again and doing our fall lawn work and our fall flower gardens. It's also now time to kill those weeds in the lawn to be ready for fall seeding. T.G. Brooks Company has the chemicals to do it. T.G. Brooks Company is fully stocked for fall, and meanwhile, if you still need irrigation, they have plenty of irrigation needs, such as your hose and sprinklers and piping. For your work in the yard, they have yard tools, rakes, hose, diggers, choppers, shovels, all kind of yard tools, pruning saws, loppers, wheelbarrows. And for all your fall flower beds, they have your hardwood mulches and dyed mulches and that really good triple ground mulch. They have mulch in bags or by the trailer or pickup load, and they can arrange delivery for you when you need it. So this year, beautify with fresh pine needles, and for planting, get you some topsoil, planting soil, cow manure, and by the way, they also have Pride dog food, including the Pride Pro Series. Don't forget to make you some homemade ice cream on these August and September days. No matter if you're a homeowner or a business owner, they can fill your fall needs. If you're a professional landscaper, they can handle commercial accounts. It's no wonder people from every corner of Person County travel to T.G. Brooks Company. They love the friendliness, and they serve homeowners, farmers, and those in construction, and have since 1936. Don't forget, at the end of the day, have a good meal, get some of their hand-cut ribeye steaks, custom cut to your thickness, right there in the store. We're so thankful for them. T.G. Brooks Company in Timberlake.
All righty, here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program. Johnny Coley is our guest today. He is the horticultural agent for Person and Granville counties, and we're glad to have him here with us. And Johnny, I think you said you've got an event coming up in September that you have been asked to share some information about. And then it's an event coming up in January. And I know people say they're talking about things in January, here it is just August. But we realize that people have to plan ahead to get things worked out in the schedule.
Yeah.
But go ahead and tell us about the September
The
event.
September event is the ECA Open House. The Person County Extension Community Association is having an open house September 6th from 4 to 6. 4 to 6 on September 6th. So that's over in the Person County office building on 304 South Morgan Street. It's an open house for people to come and become more aware of what the Extension Community Association offers, and for them to recruit new members. There will be some food and socializing available there. So just make plans to come on September 6th from 4 to 6 to the Person County office there and learn a little bit more about the Person County Extension Community Association. They do ask you to RSVP for this event because there will be food provided, and they just want to get a good handle on how much food to supply. Any questions you have on this, just give Ms. Jennifer Grable a call over at the Person County office, 336-599-1195, and she'll get you some more information, and also to let her know that you're going to come to that event. Yeah, Rob, you're right. Time goes by so quick. I mean, Christmas will be here before we know it, and right after that, January, of course, that usually precedes Christmas.
Absolutely.
Is 1st of January. So, but January, actually, this particular event it'll be like a 3-month event. Starts on January 14th, and will be every second and fourth Monday through April. So starting January 14th and going through April. So it's a commitment, but it's just every other week event. So it's twice a month that you go to this, and it's for small farmers. We get calls all the time in the office. Somebody's purchased a small farm or inherited a small farm, and they want to know what they can do with it to make it productive. They want to know what they can grow on that farm and be productive. And this is it's called the North Carolina Small Farms Northern Piedmont. I just had to forgot that other the Northern Piedmont, but it's the 2019 North Carolina Farm School Northern Piedmont. So they have these throughout the state. They had one over in Pitt County last spring, and they'll have another one this coming spring also over there. But this is the first one we've had here in Person County, and we're calling it the Northern Piedmont School. So it's the 2019 North Carolina Farm School Northern Piedmont, and it's going to provide training that will get people to consider what kind of produce or what kind of products they would like to raise on their farm, and go through a budgeting process to see if that's feasible. So if you want to grow a particular product, I don't know, I'll pick strawberries. If you think you want to sell strawberries, you want to grow strawberries and raise them, it will take you through step by step of what equipment you might need. A lot of times people don't think about that when they start thinking about a product. It'll tell you how much money up front you have to have and what to expect if you sell the product. Also, we'll address some marketing issues for different crops. That's always one of the first things I always tell people when they call. And if they have a particular product in mind that they want to raise, is to say, well, where's your market? Where are you going to sell it? Because, a lot of times people want to grow things and they don't necessarily think about how are they going to do with it once they grow it. And in all most all products. Sweet potatoes, you can have some storage, and there are some other crops that you can have a little bit of storage. But going back to the strawberries, there is none.
Right,
You need to get rid of
yes.
strawberries when they come. When they come in, you need to have somewhere that you're going to move them, whether it's a pick your own operation or you're selling them at a farmer's market or whatever.
Marketing plays a really big
Huge play
role
in
in success.
Yeah, exactly. And whether you're successful or not. Had a call this week, and this type of call, and this particular gentleman I don't think was as concerned about selling it as he was a place to get the product to somebody that might need it, whether a food shelter or a food bank of some sort. But even that, you've got to plan ahead. You've got to contact those food banks and let them know what kind of products you've got coming, when they're going to be coming, so they can plan. So you have to do some thinking about long term when you're doing this. But this, getting back to the farm school, it is a great school. There will be some field trips in this also. I think we've got four or five field trips. I think it's 4 field trips actually. That's going to be throughout, and that will not be during the time the classes are. So they'll be separate. So it will be a time commitment. The time, speaking of time, it will be in the evenings. 6 to 9 will be when the classes are. They will be at the Person County office building over at 304 South Morgan Street. So all the classes will be held there. Of course, the field trips will be at different farms throughout the area. There's some in Person County. I think Caswell County is also joining us with this. And it may be some in Orange County that we go to. So there's going to be several field trips. The cost for this school is $399 per individual and $599 per couple. So if you're from the same farm, now it says couple, but if you're two brothers that are trying to go into this and it's the same farm, then you can get that couple rate. You don't have to be an actual couple to do it. So, but it's $399 per person, $599 per couple for to take the course. But it is well worth it. It's well worth the doing this particular this course. It's going to give you some good information about how to approach small farms and doing small farming. So just want to get this out there early. There is an application to fill out, and there will be an application process as far as if we'll look at the applications and decide who or who may not really be feasible to take the course.
Right,
so
right.
There is a limit on how many students we can have, but we want to get this out there. If you need any more information on it, just give me a call at the either office, at Person or Granville County office, and I'll be glad to give you more information. And also, is a link I can send you that has more information and the application.
And that's 336-599-1195 for the Person County office, the Granville County office, 919-603-1350. We've got a caller, Johnny.
All right.
Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardeners Corner program.
Yes, how you doing this morning?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing fine. I got a question. I made some pumpkins this year, first time in a long time. I'm starting to see some fungus is starting to come on the leaf.
A
What can I spray?
fungus on pumpkin leaves.
Pumpkins, yeah, that's
I can't hardly hear you.
Okay. All right. Is that the only question you have? And then we'll let you disconnect, and we'll talk to you over the radio. But got a question about fungus on pumpkin leaves. Is that the only question you have?
Yeah, if what we recommends, can we spray it on cucumber vines too and cantaloupe?
Okay. All right. Let's see here.
yeah.
All right. Appreciate the call.
Probably looking at the fungus, powdery mildew. You might be having some powdery mildew issues or downy mildew issues. This time of year, I have seen quite a bit of downy mildew. You can spray it chlorothalonil, a product with chlorothalonil in it, daconil, funganil. Usually the products that have chlorothalonil in it end in "nil" for some reason, but but those products, but something with chlorothalonil or mancozeb or copper, copper-based solution. Either three of those particular fungicides would work, and if you rotate between two of them, you'll help. You will keep from building up a resistance to that particular fungus.
So if you use one name brand fungicide, it could build up a resistance. So it's best to
alternate in between. And most all these are going to be, especially on the edibles, they're going to be they're not going to kill the fungus. They're more of a fungostat than they are a fungicide. So it's going to be more of a preventative from keeping that disease from spreading rather than killing it that's already there. So getting ahead of it is the key, and it may take several applications in order to keep it at bay. But yeah, that's definitely something to be aware of this time of year with the pumpkins, cucumbers, squash, any of the cucurbit variety of cucurbit plants or vegetables, which all of those fall under. You can start getting those. Resistant varieties would be good to plant to think about, but of course now if you're in the middle of them, you need to treat what you got. So chlorothalonil, mancozeb, and then the copper-based solutions would be good.
So pretty much, if you're already seeing some downy mildew, you're not really going to cure it from being on that particular plant, but you can maybe stop it from spreading.
Stop it from spreading and spreading to the other leaves. I mean, it's just because certain leaves have a fungus, you can keep it from spreading to the other leaves. Now, if you start spraying, and all of a sudden you still seeing the fungicides, you still see the fungus spreading, doesn't mean that the fungicide's not working. It just means that fungus was already on that leaf and it just hasn't shown the symptoms yet. The difference between signs and symptoms. The sign is the actual fungus there, which you don't normally see a lot of times, and then there's a symptom that you actually see. So you have a symptom and a sign, and the sign may be there, the actual fungus may be on the leaf, but the symptoms hasn't shown up, and the fungicides a lot of times don't work as well if the fungus is already there. So it is you really do have to be very diligent with your fungicides as far as spraying them and trying to keep them at bay.
Well, and you talked about it before, spraying fungicides it's not really written in stone that you need to spray every 18 days. It depends on the rainfall and many things that kind of comes into play.
Yeah.
Let's get a word on for Sandling Golf Cars. They're located 613 Lewis Street in Oxford. If you're in need of a utility trailer, an enclosed trailer, maybe you're in need of parts and service for your golf car, go see them right there for your Wilmington grills and Trojan batteries at Sandling Golf Cars in Oxford.
Are you in need of a flatbed for that truck? Sandling Golf Cars and Trailers, located 613 Lewis Street in Oxford, now has flatbeds for trucks available. They are open weekdays 8 until 5:30, Saturdays 9 until 1. Call 1-800-221-9267, or you can call Sandling Golf Cars and Trailers locally at 919-693-4626. You'll also find the full line of Wilmington grills. They have a large selection of golf cars, Club Car, E-Z-GO, and Yamaha golf cars available, new and pre-owned. If you're in need of Trojan batteries, parts, or service, shop at Sandling Golf Cars and Trailers, 613 Lewis Street in Oxford. Speaking of trailers, you'll find trailers of all kinds at Sandling Golf Cars. Call 919-693-4626 or toll free 1-800-221-9267. That's Sandling Golf Cars and Trailers.
All right, here we are back on the Garden Corner program, brought to you today by T.G. Brooks Company, Sandling Golf Cars, and Our Pride Foods, makers of Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip. My name is Rob Hall. Our guest today is Johnny Coley of the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. Johnny is the horticultural agent for Person and Granville counties, and anytime that you have a question for Johnny or any of the other friendly agents, just call your local office, and if they're not available at that time, leave a message. They will call you back. A lot of them is really big on making house calls. So if you ever got a little issue going on, they'll gladly come out and do what they can to help. They certainly will not try to hurt you, but they are there with knowledge, and they have access to tons and tons of information that will maybe help your problem be resolved and help you out, because
Yeah.
that's what y'all are there for, isn't it, Johnny?
Yeah, it's something I've learned very quickly in this job is I don't know, but I'll find out for you. It's, a lot of times there are so many different issues out there in the world of plants that that I haven't seen, but there are that we do have a lot of resources behind us. We have two universities.
That's right, North Carolina State.
North Carolina State
and
University and A&T University.
yeah.
So if we can usually find somebody on one of the campuses that have seen what the problem you might have. So we do have the resources behind us, but it is. I've told people over the last 18 months that I thought I knew something about horticulture before I got into this job, and I'm realizing I don't even know anything hardly.
Well.
And still learning. But you mentioned we had an ad on earlier from TG Brooks, and I was out there yesterday. I think it was yesterday. My days run together sometimes, but I think it was yesterday. I was out there, and Mr. Bill Brooks was talking with him, and he said he was digging in the yard, and he saw some little bitty grubs growing, and they didn't know exactly what they were, and didn't know if they were actually grubs or what, and they very well could have been. I don't know. I didn't see them, but it is a good time to start having, and I know this seems odd, we think we've gotten rid of the Japanese beetles for the year, and they've pretty much wound down. You don't see a lot of them out there anymore, but this is a great time to control them for next year, because that little bitty grub was very likely a larvae that had hatched from the Japanese beetles boring back into the ground, because that's what they do. That's their life cycle, is they're up foraging on our plants during the summertime. But then they go back into the ground and lay eggs, and the eggs hatch, and it's a little bitty larvae, and that white grub that a lot of people call them, the little white larvae, is growing in the soil throughout the winter, and then next spring they emerge and the adults are there again. So now when they're small, like Mr. Brooks was describing, is a good time to control them. And an imidacloprid material, and I think I've had that on here before, the word imidacloprid,
Right.
something with that in there does a good job of controlling the larval stage. And there's some other products out there too, and the milky spore, a lot of people have used the milky spore. The milky spore is actually a biological control for the larvae. It does take a couple of years to get that built up in the yard.
I've
But
heard
it
you talk
does
about
last-
that, yeah.
It does last a long time once you get it built up. I think 7 to 10 years it'll last. But it's a little bit expensive process, but it does last a while. But that controls the larval stage of the Japanese beetle. So that's what you're after to control, and that way you get them before they start eating on your